Hello everyone, Dr. Stillman here, and today we are going to be tackling a really important topic that I love talking about, thinking about, and researching, which is, are vitamin D supplements, or could vitamin D supplements be dangerous? This was inspired by a post that I made on Instagram where I talked about the importance of maintaining your adequate vitamin D levels. I use supplementation to do this in some patients, and when I say supplementation, I mean pills full of vitamin D. And I got some comments that said, well, it's really bad. You can't use supplements from vitamin D. They're synthetic. They're not equal to the sun. Their benefits are overblown. Let's unpack this and talk about what's really going on with vitamin D supplementation and how to understand how both sides of this vitamin D supplements are bad, vitamin D supplements are good argument can have some valid points, and therefore inform how we approach vitamin D supplementation. So, without further ado, we're going to start by talking about what I think is the most important question whenever we're dealing with a question of should we use this therapeutic, that therapeutic, how much of it should we use, how long should we use it for, et cetera, which is what does the all-cause mortality data say? All-cause mortality means who dies, how much they die, and over what period of time. When you're asking the question, is vitamin D good for you? You're typically going to get people telling you that the higher your vitamin D level, the lower your risk of death and the lower your risk of many other diseases. And the lower your vitamin D level, the more your risks of certain diseases and death tend to go up. That's true. This is not the same question as should we take vitamin D? Because saying your vitamin D level is low, and if it's low, you're more likely to die or get disabled or sick, why is it low, right? This is like saying, oh, the bathtub level is low, we should add more water. Well, what if there's a hole in the bathtub? The solution to a leaky bucket is not more water, it is to fix the leak in the bucket, okay? So what happens when you supplement people with vitamin D? Does it reduce their all-cause mortality? Does it increase their all-cause mortality? This is one of the biggest studies on this. They did a 3-year randomized controlled trial with 4,000 units of vitamin D every day. That's a hefty dose, but not nearly so hefty as many of my colleagues are using. And what indeed did they find? They found that this dose did not reduce mortality in patients with advanced heart failure. It's a very specific patient population, but was associated with a greater need for MCS implants. What does that mean? MCS, or mechanical circulatory support, is it refers to a variety of interventions that improve the circulatory function of the heart through mechanical means. Okay, it's not good. This implies that a bad outcome was more common in the vitamin D supplementation group. Why is this really important to consider? And why do I think it actually makes sense? When you look at vitamin D metabolism, it depends upon minerals, and it affects minerals as well. If, for whatever reason, excessive or additional exogenous, i.e., pills of vitamin D, had a negative impact on some of these minerals in heart failure patients who have atrocious mineral status, it could increase their need for or the failure of their heart in certain ways. Now, I would like to point out that not hardly anyone listening to my videos or coming to see me in consultation has heart failure. Why? Because heart failure is rare and it affects people more and more and more as they know less and less and less about health and wellness, which means that people coming to me who are very highly informed and constantly doing research and typically younger and more tech savvy don't wind up with this issue. When you look at the vitamin D data in, for example, the multiple sclerosis patients, their experience with vitamin D supplementation is so profound that it is, even amongst the most conventional of conventional doctors, the standard of care to give you vitamin D supplementation. This means that different groups of patients need to be taken on different terms because they're all unique. You can't just say vitamin D supplementation is bad. This is a very simplistic way of thinking. It leads to all kinds of errors. I've already unpacked a little bit of why I think it makes sense that vitamin D administration in heart failure might create a problem, okay? But again, the MS data is completely different. What I want to point out here, though, is that it didn't reduce all-cause mortality, which means the people thinking, okay, I'm taking vitamin D and I'm taking fish oil, I'm done. That's my wellness routine. No, it's not. That is not a wellness routine. You can't just throw vitamin D at problems and make them go away. People will do this thing with supplements where they say, be afraid of this supplement because of this study. You have to take a very broad view of the literature and ask, were there significant negative effects on mortality from taking this supplement for a prolonged period of time? In the absence of the negative effects, or even in their presence, were there some benefits? A 15% reduction in all-cause mortality for cancer patients? And you want to tell me that vitamin D supplements are bad? Far be it from me to say that every cancer patient needs to take vitamin D, and the vitamin D supplementation in cancer patients is the best and most important thing for any one of them. No way would I say that. But to dismiss an entire class of therapeutic supplements because you have a couple of negative studies or a couple of hunches based on your reading of the biochemistry or the literature or whatever really misses the mark as far as what actually happens in clinical practice. If this video has been helpful to you, make sure that you check out my link tree below to find out how you can keep in touch with me best. And if you would like to become a patient at my practice, please apply to work with me at STILLMANMD.com. Thank you again for watching. Have a great day.